I'm Jesse Harper. You can find me on any social at the Orc Knight. Hazel, you want to tell everybody a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get into the goods?
I'm Hazel Hensley. I'm also on Salt the Wound. Somehow, I have 0 achievements aside from possibly making the world's worst FTK in the game.
World's worst FTK, huh?
I'm the creator of the FTK Benji list that was playable for exactly 1 season in Skirmish and then never again.
All right, we'll get right into it here. This was the deck I played at AGE that you and I worked on. So originally, this list came about when you, myself, and Jacob went to DMC Concord.
Yep.
Is this correct? Yeah. And we played the ProQuest there. And right before that event, I was just like in my apartment scrambling, and I was like, oh no, I can't find cards. What am I going to replace these with? My ProQuest is in an hour. Panic. Full panic. So I have a Flash of Brilliance just sitting on my desk because that's where all my cards go. They're just everywhere all the time. No rhyme or reason.
The classic TCG player experience.
Oh yeah, it's bad. And anybody who wants to sort my collection for me, I got $1 reduced. We'll make it happen. So I'm looking at Flash of Brilliance, and I go, surely this hat's like fine, right? Like, it's not the Blade Beckoner hat that I desperately needed, but it blocks. And then as I was looking at the hat, I stumbled across this little gem. And I went, oh, that's cute. Is it good? Does anybody play AB? I don't know. I'm a coward. I'm just gonna put out the emergency alarm and see if anybody brings me my cards. We played the event. Both Jacob and I... No, Jacob played Kano. That's right. We had the opportunity to lock out top 4 with all Briars, but you made a fatal mistake with your deck list.
I did.
With the wrong chess piece.
I disagree. Blossom of Spring is cuter, so I am objectively right.
Sure. Fair. You ultimately lost out on top 4 to Noah, is that correct?
Yeah, I got knocked out of top 4 to Noah. There was one point where I was favoring a fatigue angle a little bit too favorably when I should have popped with I had a red Evergreen in hand, and I should have popped with it instead of triple pitch reds and play the other one I'd had in Arsenal when I only had 1 blue left in deck, because again, I am not good at this game. And had played it a turn prior.
You were good enough to help me build a deck to get me to top 8 at AGE. I don't know. I wouldn't sell yourself short there, friend.
Well,
but
I'm good at deck building, just not playing.
So we're all talking about Briar at the event, and Jacob brought Kano because I don't know. And we're talking about it, and Jacob is like really looking at it. You can see the wheels in his head starting to turn a little bit. And then I end up winning the event, getting my invite, getting banned from PQs. And then 2 to 3 days later, Jacob just pops up in the Discord and says, I have the sauce. Now, this is also with Burn Up Shock and Lightning Press and Bracers of Belief still legal. So the deck has changed a little bit since then. But
I don't think it changed enough, because we've lost our 3rd, 4th, and 5th best cards.
Yeah, I would argue that Burn Up Shock was probably not an okay Flesh and Blood card to have in a 20 life format, but
I agree. No. I still only think it's like our 3rd best card.
So after all that and going through the iterations, going through the ban list, you actually were the one to first bring the deck into the Discord again and say, hey, is this deck still playable? I think this deck still has legs.
Yes, I when I was playing the deck in, what was it, Webway?
Yep.
Yeah, I was feeling iffy about. I'd never played Braces of Belief in any matchup, so I was already not liking that card. I saw a lot of potential in Flourish still. I thought it still had legs. It might round out a little bit of math versus Kano. Because, well, being a yellow, you can still swing sword, and you only have AB1, so might as well pitch. What are you going to use that last resource with? And we just lost a Nimblism. Let's add another Nimblism.
Sure. Pseudo-Nimblism. You have to have another Nimblism for this one to be Nimblism, but yeah.
Oh no, we play 5 other different Nimblisms.
Yeah.
And a sword that has +1 on it.
Yep, sure do. So about this time, Hazel posts the list, and I jump into the Discord, and I'm like, I wasn't a believer at first. I'll be straight up. I was not a believer. I thought the deck, like so many others, had died.
I figured it was along the lines of, oh, geez, Hazel's cooking again.
Brewmaster Hazel at it again. But so at this time, I was just very much on the KO's the best deck in the format. Why would we ever play anything else? There's just like absolutely no reason. But being who I am, I'm always looking for the off meta, the anti meta, the sauce, as it were. So we start playtesting some games, and the first matchup we played was Scurv v Briar because, as I said, crack it. Games did not go well for me on Scurv. I did manage to take a game, but that was only, I think, off of a pretty bad draw sequence from you, and then just like a pretty hot draw sequence for me.
I believe it was 2 bricks in a row for me and a well-timed pummel on you.
That matchup goes to Briar, and it's okay, yeah, I was playing a meme deck. Let's play something that we expect to be a deck that people might show up with. We're saving KO for kind of later, so I played Dromai. Same kind of thing. I managed to take a game off, but it's very predominantly Briar favored. And we then switched to stack Florian as the other, like, kind of boogeyman of the set. At first, it's like crazy Florian favored. Like the first 2 games, it just didn't feel like I had to do anything. I was just like block, make her enchant, do thing.
Yeah, the first 2 games felt like all the brain power was on me, and that's not a good feeling for a deck.
But then we changed it up, right? We added the Ion Charges and the Harness Lightnings for the Fatigue / Stack Florian matchups. And then I couldn't win a game anymore.
Yeah.
And then there was like too much, like anytime I just had a hand that didn't convert well, or I couldn't actually full block stuff and play enough Arcane Barrier to not die to this card. And then this card converting for 4 value anytime you play it in Stack Florian is giving you so much space to set up 5-card hands that eventually you will just pop it off and it'll be like a pseudo Art of War. And turning your sword into 3 powers gross.
Yeah. It's a little annoying to block.
And then after that we played KO. Best for last. And oh my god, did I never want to pick up KO ever again after that matchup.
What was the line? How does anyone win with this deck?
Yep. Every game we played, I felt like I was at a good position until I realized that you just had enough arcane damage to kill me with the hat. Like every game. And it just never changed. And this card is just really not okay. There was a game, I think I was at 7, right? And you just pinged me down from 7 to death, basically on my turn.
Yeah.
And then even playing AB1, I go -2 every time I try to AB, and you're sending so much physical in addition to the split that I can't do anything about it.
Yeah, and that's the goal. Just if they have to block you, they can't hit you.
Yeah. There's a lot of pearls in that deck. So we'll get into the meat and potatoes. We'll just go down the line. So Arcane Seed's Life, pretty much going to be a staple in every Briar deck you see forever, I think.
It's a pseudo 4-block. It can dodge a Arcane Lethal. It deals 2 pretty much free damage. It's great.
Yep. And then Arcanic Shockwave, 0 for 4 with some spice on it. Blocks 3. Can't ask for anything better. There's a lot of lightning in the deck, so the numbers pan out that almost every time you draw this card, you'll have something to fuse it with. What's going to happen on those turns is you're going to have to decide whether or not holding the extra card for the fusion is worth it. But there's a lot of times you'll just draw this and Sigil of Voltaris, and you'd be like, yeah, I don't care. Of course I'm going to hold this card because I'm just going to shoot you with Arcane after anyway. Electrostatic Discharge was the Lightning Press replacement, I believe.
Yeah, we were looking for another Nimblism, and we were also looking to add in Flittering Charge synergies, so we went with this one.
And this one also has the lightning text, so it's also good to discard to the hat when the kill line comes up with Flash of Brilliance. And then Entwine Lightning, again, 0-4. Go again. Do stuff. Flittering Charge. Now, if I recall, Hazel, you did not like this card at first.
I didn't. I'm still a little iffy on it. We run so few instants that it's hard to line up. It's really good into the fatigue matchups, but other than that, it could be anything else, in my opinion.
So I will firmly disagree here because this card felt insane for me the entire tournament. Every time this card came up, I always had Go Again because I either had the instance or I had the double non-attack actions to send it. And I really couldn't ask for anything better. It's a 0 for 4 that kind of baits your opponent because when you lead off with it, they know you're going to play an instant. When you lead out, like no buffs in front of it, no nothing, they know you're going to play an instant. And in this day and age, without Lightning Press, they know that it's probably going to be like Electrostatic Discharge. So they're never willing to block this card unless they have a clean 4. And then the Discharge just means that you're getting in for 4 free damage in a 20 life format and making your embodiment. Because the follow-up's just going to be 7. So I think this is a key card to the deck. It's definitely a role player. I would not cut this card for anything. Now, a card I would cut for something.
Yeah. If Briar lives the community ban before Omens, there is definitely a spoiled Omen card that I will be wanting to put in instead of this.
Oh, is it the Lightning Flow?
Yeah, it's the one that makes it's the discard one, pay 1, pain 1.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I think that card's pretty modal. It supports the game plan we're already looking at doing.
And it's a 4 power 3 block.
Yeah. Now, I will say this card served me fine throughout the day. The issue I had with it is whenever I was going second and I drew this in my opening hand and I had to leak a life on turn 0 because I didn't want to give my armor because, in my opinion, it's just the life you're taking now versus the life you're taking later. So you just save the armor. But this card just really made me irritable in certain spots. I'll tell you what. Like in my top 8 game against Connor, I drew a hand with essentially no blocks in it and just a yellow flourish. And I was like, oh, sick. I'm dead. And then another tried and true lightning staple, 0-4, gives itself Go Again in Arsenal. But it's just bread and butter Briar card. And oh, look. Your favorite card.
Yeah.
Speaking of OGs, we got Ravenous Rebel.
My goat, I love flipping a blue, showing the arcane to them, and then killing them with the arcane.
Okay, funny anecdote about this. That actually happened to me in my round 3 game. I was playing against a KO, and I have Rabble and Snatch in hand that I got to keep. I blocked with the other 2 cards. I Rabble, show him Sigil of Voltaris. He's already at 2, so he has to give me a card on the Rabble anyway, and sees the Sigil of Voltaris, and he's just like really not excited about it because he presented 81 into me. So he knows he has to keep the card for the Voltaris. And then I throw him a snatch at him. And he's like, I can't let that hit me because then he's just going to get the arsenal the damn thing. So he gives me 2 cards on the snatch and then just has to keep like a card that he can't convert into like anything because it was like a red no block.
Ooh.
And then I draw the Sigil of Voltaris anyway. And then I just keep pressuring with the other cards in my hand. I arsenal the Sigil of Voltaris. He knows it's there. And he has to play around it the entire rest of the game. So he's always holding cards, and the no block in his arsenal essentially never got cleared for the rest of the game because he always had to hold a card to AB. Because if he ever went to 0, he died.
No.
He couldn't attack me for the rest of the game.
I love that.
It was very gross. We'll get more into the sequence later. Scar for Scar. Another OG.
We're not blocking very much. It's so easy.
Yeah. Use your life total as a resource to buy tempo back and just convert. You don't want to be converting for this number. You want to be converting for this number, ideally. This one was pretty dubious for a while.
I think before we were on the high amounts of arcane damage, this was easily one of the first cards to cut from the list.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I've played with this card a lot. I have played with this card Aurora. I have played with this card Lexi. I have played with this card in Talishar Lexi specifically. And it has never felt better than in this version of the deck because of all the incidental arcane that we get to send. There's a lot of times where I would put this in my arsenal in the other decks and then I just wouldn't draw anything for guaranteed damage. And I would just be like, yeah, that sucks.
Yeah. The only other place I've found it to be semi-useful is in LL Belittle Briar, and that's a...
Yeah, but surely they would never get rid of LL.
Oh, surely not. I worked so hard to break Dustblade again.
Yeah.
Someone else did it better.
I have been very surprised with this card overall. This one was a sleeper for me when it first came out. I looked at it and was like, yeah, cool, it's a nimblism for lightning elemental attacks, whoop-de-doo. But then realizing that it actually buffed Starfall was like, oh, this is actually real good. This just prevents us from rune blading for real.
Yeah, I have found that most of the time when I see Sizzle, I just throw it on to Starfall.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Over the course of the tournament, I got to send a sword for 11 power.
That makes me happy.
I'll give you a minute to figure out how I did it.
No, I can figure it out. It's either double Sizzle and Sprout Strength or double Sprout Strength and Sizzle. Or it's Sprout Strength, Sizzle, and Flourish, or any combination. Right. Yeah.
Third time's the charm. Yeah. All those cards affecting Sword is just like a massive boon to the deck. Well, obviously, we're not going to take credit for that. That tech was popularized in the Bartosz Ziemba style Briar that was it Paul Van Giesen?
Probably.
But ultimately, that tech had been in some of the older Briar decks. Still good here. Still just nuts. And then the card that everybody at the beginning of Silver Age was like, how is this card legal? Snatch.
Hot take. It's fine. It's okay.
Unironically, because we don't have things like Snapdragon Scalers and things like that, I do actually agree that Snatch is probably fine. There's a generic 4-block in the format that people can play on the Horizon. Guardians have access to so many 4-blocks. It's insane. Even Mech has access to a lot of 4-blocks because they have Firewall.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Firewall.
Yeah. So there are cards that just like cleanly get put in front of this. You will see the high power level of the card, though, in my game against Niraj on stream. Because I send a 7 on a Lightning Surge. He throws his armor in front. And then I send a 7 on the Snatch. In his hand is a no block and 3 red 2 blocks. And he has no armor to block. So it was just like... And because of the way I sequenced it, the embodiment go again went on the Snatch. So I got to draw the extra card. So there are cases where it feels like how broken it used to be in like CC in the aggro decks, but I think those cases are pretty few and far between, and generally requires your opponent to overextend into you a little bit.
Why does it hit weapons? This shouldn't hit weapons.
I just want to know where my Earth Ranger's at, dog. Let me amplifying arrow with this thing. That's what I want.
I am very glad it doesn't exist yet.
But yeah, this hitting weapons is just nuts. As I said, like the combination of this and Sizzle and Flourish and the like just really help the deck not give you those like very typical Runeblade hands. So there was a turn where I drew just nothing but pumps. I was fine. Okay, we're gonna play 2 of them. We're gonna float the embodiment for next turn. We'll set another one, and then next turn, draw the attacks, have a pump, have an embodiment, off to the races.
I almost never hit with this card, and it makes me sad. I just want to deal them arcane, man.
It's very funny to me because people both over-respect and under-respect on hits in this format because everybody's just trying to like go convert their hand as best they can. And because this is a 4, and a lot of people try to save their Blade Beckoner boots to cover your sword, this either gets maximum respect, like this will just never hit the entire game, and people will just try to save their boots, or this will hit every single time you cast it at a specific opponent because they just don't care.
Hell yeah, 0 for 5s.
And I'm like, okay, taking a quarter of your life on one card.
Yeah, sometimes a third.
Weave Lightning's probably my least favorite nimblism in the deck.
I would agree. I think the most important line of text on it, other than it being a nimblism, is if it's Fuse Go again, because that can unbrick some hands occasionally.
Yeah, but that hand specifically requires our only Fuse card in the deck, or one of our only Fuse cards in the deck, which is Arcanic Shockwave. Because Entwined Lightning just will give itself Go again anyway, so there's like that line of text.
Yeah.
It's like putting a hat on a hat.
Well, there's a game out there that does that, and very well.
We don't talk about that. We don't talk about that, Hazel. We talked about Flourish already a little bit, so we're not really going to touch more on it, but card's good.
Card's great.
And then this is where we'll talk about the actual combo kill for the people that don't know. So because it says when it enters or leaves, deal 1 arcane. In the end game sequences, you can block with your Flash of Brilliance with a sigil in play or in hand. And then you can respond. If it's in your hand, you can respond to the Flash of Brilliance trigger and play it. Deal an arcane. Discard another lightning card. Pick up the same sigil of Voltaris. Play the sigil of Voltaris. And that's just 3 arcane right there.
And another arcane on the start of your next turn.
Yeah. So there are sequences where if your opponent just doesn't present AB, they die from 4. But it gets even crazier when you add in the other equipment piece, which is the Beckoning Hod. So this was other tech that once we fully committed to the Sigil Voltaris line, it was just extending our kill range so much further into decks that couldn't present the AB. So there was what was that game we played? You went Sigil, Flash of Brilliance, discard Lightning, pick up one of the sigils, play the sigil, go into your turn, shoot me with both, pitch a card, get back sigil.
I don't even think I pitched a card. I think I popped the chess piece to get it back.
Yeah. I was like, all right, my bad. I didn't. My fault. It was just. Oh, man. There are times against this deck where you will be at 8 life and you will just understand that you have lost the game if you ever attack again. And it is not okay.
It's fine. It's totally fine. I'm having so much fun with it.
Yeah. So getting into the sideboard here, we're gonna touch on the worst defender first. The card that on my interview I alluded to this should probably be taken out of the format.
My boy did nothing wrong.
Except make everybody start the game at 16.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
This card's an all-star. And it just for as long as it's in the format, it will continue to be an all-star. There's nothing at all that I would take out of the deck, or take this card out for, I should say.
It's so good that in my initial thoughts for this deck, I was trying to throw in Weeping Battleground, but unfortunately we do not have enough auras to make that work as well.
So we'll touch on the cloud cover here. The cloud cover actually came about after our teammate Tim played Briar at the same PQ and at DMC, where I was looking at it. He had cloud cover in his list. We had arcane polarities in ours, I think. And then after talking about it, we ultimately decided that cloud cover was the better Kano tech card, because there are just spots where you are not allowed to take the arcane damage into Kano to turn on your polarity. So this just being a flat prevent, it was so much nicer.
And if it's on your turn, you can convert any extra resources into a sword swing for 2, and it's...
Yeah. And it also has flittering charge synergy.
I've used it for that. It wasn't even being dealt arcane damage. I just, cool, cloud cover, make it have go again. Now hit me.
I actually had a pretty interesting sequence into my Kano opponent. I ultimately ended up losing the game, but I think that's because I made a mistake later down the line. So I have a flittering charge, I have a cloud cover, I have a electrostatic discharge, and I have a snatch, I think it was. So I present the flittering charge in a way where if he decides to shoot me on that turn, I have the cloud cover to give it go again, and then I can save, or I do the electrostatic discharge into the snatch. But if he doesn't shoot me with the arcane there, I can save the cloud cover for another turn and just go 4 into 7 with on-hit draw. Ultimately, he ended up trying to shoot me in response to the snatch. So I was still able to convert the cloud cover. And instead of taking 5, I only took 2. So it was pretty good. He was actually very funny about it. He thought that cloud cover red prevented 5 damage. And I was like... No, it is only 3. If it was 5, I would say this card probably has to be.
If it was 5, it would be in the main board.
Man, a 5-block D-react in Sage. Insane.
Please?
Yep. We talked about Harness Lightning. We talked about Ion Charge. Helm of Might and Magic is pretty much only for Kano. And the mirror of this specific Briar build.
Yeah, if it's a pure Flourish deck, they don't have enough arcane damage for us to warrant this, and they likely don't have AB, so we can just kill them.
Yeah. Sometimes you won't have the opportunity to scout your opponent, but like at these smaller tournaments, like your locals and things like that, you probably get a chance to walk around and take a look. So this is pretty helpful there in case we see anything that's, this Briar is a little heavier on arcane. We can play this hat instead. You can also just play this in hedgeboard for it, but ultimately you just have to soul read your opponent. Null Rune Boots.
I don't like dying.
I don't like dying either. So this one's only for Kano. Yeah. Is what I found.
Yeah.
So whenever I'm going first, sometimes I just want the AB to save as much life as I can.
I would also use these versus stacked Florian.
I don't know how much this matters in the stacked Florian. We just don't have enough blues to make the AB one matter.
It's, I think, specifically for if the stacked Florian decides to present Scepter.
Sure. Yeah. I think it's probably fine there, right? So we play it just to, if they present Scepter, it's fine. But if they don't present Scepter, we just, I don't know.
We weren't going to block with our feet anyways, so.
Yeah. You don't know. If they swung a sword at you might block with your feet.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. But yeah, ultimately, if you expect them to be on Scepter, you can just play this and then give them free rune chance every turn. Spellfree Gloves. I love this card. Free Spell Void is a lesson I thought everybody had learned very early on in the game for aggro decks, but it turns out that it's not always the case. Just being able to insulate yourself into decks like Kano and just have the extra 1 life going into the kill turn and maybe be enough to get over the top. This is very useful. Again, this card has been popularized by other people. This is not our deck. But this card felt very good. I played this into my KO opponent because I was really respecting pulping. And I did not trust that my KO opponent would have the idea to side out the pulpings because most Briar lists are only on the 2 Sigil of Suffering. And it's it'd be very unlucky to just pair it from Arsenal with a card from hand on their pulping turn. So I figured this made sense. And then my KO opponent made me look like a clown and sided out his pulpings. What can you do?
It's a real game of chicken.
Yeah. Ultimately didn't matter. I still won that game. I blocked with these. Still gave me the 1 life I needed. So that is overall the entirety of the deck. We have 20 lightning cards in this deck. There should realistically never be a situation in which you need to block with your Flash of Brilliance to balance your Voltaris, and you don't have a lightning card in your hand. Half your deck is lightning. Just shouldn't happen. If it does, I'm sorry, my friend. You're very unlucky. Got our 20 attack actions, 14 non-attack actions. This helps us minimize that sort of a Runeblade hand effect. This deck doesn't block well. Sorry to tell you.
Doesn't need
does not. No, but does not block well. It goes back to there was a Kano player who won a calling, I think, back in the day. And they did a post interview with him, and he said, "You don't need to block a lot, you just need to block good." Taking that one to heart a little bit with this deck, because every now and then you'll get a good 3 block off, but for the most part, all gas, no brakes, baby. All right. So this is pretty much the testing that went into the deck before we were like, okay, this thing's broken. There's very little deviation between going first and second as far as your win percentage goes. Put this one to the test a little bit. So my top 8 game, I ultimately did lose to Connor Bryant on his Dash aggro list. The moment he flipped Talishar over, I knew I was no longer going to win this event because Talishar's my shtick, and if anyone ever plays it against me, I die. But there's very little deviation between first and second from what I saw. We tried KO going first, KO going second. Same thing with Florian, and it just didn't really seem like it mattered all that much. The deck just does its thing. I would say the hardest matchup for this deck is that Death Dealer Lexi deck that we saw at Webway.
I might agree if I saw it pop off. Unfortunately, I didn't. I guess better be lucky than good.
Yeah. Being able to activate Death Dealer at instant speed to play your Arctic Incarceration is definitely a move.
Yeah.
Feels bad. But if you like the deck will be posted in the links below. Hazel, do you have any socials or anything you want to plug? Anywhere people can find you if they want to talk to you?
Good luck finding me. I don't have socials.
No worries. But yeah, that's everything. And I do actually have an announcement. I talked with my friend Bartosz Siemba, and he is going to come on next week, and we are going to do a future of Briar in Sage discussion, comparing the big Briar lists that have been floating around and that he did a Metafy guide on, and our version of the deck. So tune in next week for that one. Everybody have a good day.